So you leave from the Hillside and you go directly to the waterfall?
Yes.
And if you know about what time was it that you got to the waterfall?
Again, it was dark. It could have been around in the area, 9 o'clock.
And when you get to the waterfall, do you recall where in relation to the waterfall you parked the Jeep at that time?
No.
So you come into the waterfall and where do you go?
I went to a series. I saw Brian and his family, and it was a series of high tops.
Now, when you left the Hillside, Mr. Higgins stayed there?
Yes, he stayed.
And when you came into the waterfall, who, if anyone, was there?
So
Maybe around 10, Brian came in.
And after your husband Brian came in, was there anybody else that came in and joined you?
Shortly after, maybe 10:30, his friend Brian Higgins had come in.
So your husband Brian and Brian Higgins came in separately about a half hour apart?
I think so, yes.
And then at some point, my father, Brian Albert, and his friend, Brian Higgins, also joined us. So at one point in time, I'm not sure the order of which, everybody came in or the time that they came in, but at some point we were all kind of there hanging out.
Now, and your father and Mr. Higgins, do you know where they had come from or where they were coming from?
Yes, I believe they were coming from New York from a funeral. And I remember I had asked my mom, is Dad going to stop by? And she was like, I don't know, he's tired. He's coming back from New York. And I was like, oh, I want to see him. So I think I convinced him to come. And then Brian Higgins just kind of tagged along from what I can remember.
Now,
My girlfriend Caitlin, and that's all I remember.
and do you recall where was it you went?
Waterfall Bar and Grille.
That's somewhere that you and Caitlin had been to before?
Yes, multiple times.
And do you have any idea what time that was on the 28th?
I don't recall.
And do you recall if anyone else was there in addition to yourself and your girlfriend Caitlin?
No, I do not.
Do you recall whether or not? And when your older brother Brian and Mr. Higgins come in, where is it that they go sort of in relation to the group?
So they walk in and they come directly over to the table.
Now, who, if anyone else, sort of came in and joined the group that you were with?
My brother-in-law, Brian Albert, and his friend, Brian Higgins.
And then Brian Albert and Brian Higgins arrived. And then Karen and John arrived.
45 minutes, an hour after that, Brian Albert Sr. and Brian Higgins showed up.